this video for sailing and entertainment purposes only. You're dang skippy it is.
What advice would you give Amber's future girlfriend? Simple. Just don't go there.
Between the bucket baths, she just didn't shower.
Amberlynn did not shower the whole time we were at my mom.
Why did you lie about the person you're with and say it's been two different people and it's not?
I didn't lie. I didn't lie. I didn't. Me and Becky equally decided that we will not talk about each other. And since that point, I have not talked about her. And since that point, I have not talked about her. At that point, I have not talked about her. You're obsessed with Karina Kaboom.
What's wrong with Karina Kaboom? She's a nice lady.
You're kidding, right?
Hello everybody. In today's video, we are going to be discussing Amber Reid's new members only live stream that people are actually paying $10 a month for, entitled Hi. How exciting. What an amazing time to be alive, girls. So in this live stream, Amberlynn says quite a bit of inappropriate things about Beck, rages about ex-Beck, rages about ex-friend Alexis, and does a whole reaction video to Zachary Michael and rages about Zach as well. She's incredibly disrespectful in this video, constantly sending text messages to, I don't know what, who, her lawyer, or maybe her new girl, or maybe her exes, and constantly takes breaks that she mutes the audience as well, where we just see the side character of the ceiling. I feel this is preposterous. She also cannot wait to get off of live stream, saying at the end of the live stream, well, I just have 2 more minutes left. I just have four more minutes left. This is a live stream, okay? She says a lot of lies, pretends that Zachary Michael only makes content about her, and just cannot handle anything that's going on. Her final like to dislike ratio is, it started with 5 likes and 1 dislike, and it ended strong with like 30 likes. What is it? 31 likes and 8 dislikes. Don't forget that out of the 600 members that she has, because she does members only live streams, out of 600 people, 31 liked it. It's a wonderful time to be alive. You couldn't even get 100 likes from your members. Anyways, in this live stream, she completely disrespects Beck, Zachary Michael, and as always, most definitely herself. So we're going to get into it. I personally feel it is outrageous that you're asking people to pay $10 to take multiple breaks and text people and show them your ceiling. All right, if you could not tell already from this intro, everything I'm saying is just for entertainment purposes only. Please do not take anything I say seriously, because I am sharing my personal opinions, not facts, on publicly accessible information, first made public by public figures. Please don't go to these people's channels and leave mean-spirited, negative, discouraging, disparaging comments. Entertainment purposes only. Okay, so the live stream starts out with her claiming that she doesn't know who Simply Sarah is, and that is a creator that is no longer with us, sadly. Amber clearly knows who this person is. She just pretends that she doesn't know who this person is, because whenever Amber doesn't want to deal with something, she says, huh? What? I have no idea what you're talking about or who you mean. The reason that she doesn't want to say that she knows who this creator was is because she knows the conversation that's surely coming. Amber, everybody sees through your things, okay? So you just don't want to talk about it. Just say that. Say, I don't want to talk about this topic, instead of lying and pretending you don't know who the person is. All right. So she starts being very inappropriate to Beck. The worst thing that she says about Beck in this live stream, in my opinion, is about the game Choosy. So if you guys don't know, Beck, Amber's former partner, had to play various games without their consent, meaning that they did not want to play this game, and they did not want to play this game as long as Amber wanted them to play this game.
She would make me play Choosy between Croc charms, and she didn't even own a pair of Crocs.
The game was called Choosy. Beck was forced to like fake pluck lint off of Amber's shirt, and it was done for ASMR purposes. I don't know if y'all know, but Amberlynn claimed that she got diagnosed with ASMR. If you believe that, I have large bridges to sell you of something. Okay, so Beck has expressed in their videos how much they did not want to play these games. The game of Choosy is you have to pick your favorite charm or your favorite sticker, and you have to do this for hours. Beck was forced to play these games for like 45-minute intervals. They were forced to fake pluck lint off of Amber to the point where their arms hurt and they would have to stop, and Amber would use timers to time them and then would pause the timer while Beck took a break. This is outrageously weird and creepy, and I've never heard of a person being in a relationship being forced to play weird, odd games. Okay, so just keep this in mind. Now, this is a form of the A word, also known as mistreatment. When you are constantly forcing somebody and like tormenting your partner to do these weird games that they don't want to do, this is mistreatment at best. Okay, please keep this in mind. All right, so Amber says this: every single time I mention playing choosy, people say, why are you joking about mistreatment, pretty much. And then she calls people names who say this. Amber, it is sad that you forced things onto Beck that they did not want to do just because you were paying the bills. You mistreated the majority of your girlfriends, and I believe that no one else will be with you in the future long term because you always treat people poorly. And it's sad that in this live stream, what she does is make fun of the mistreatment that Beck suffered. Okay. So she says, well, I'm sorry, but my partner chose to do this with you. No, your partner had no choice in choosy. Amberlynn was controlling the whole narrative and controlling everything financially. Okay. What was going on was that she asked Beck to stop working. Yes, it was Beck's choice to stop working, but she did this in order to control and manipulate the whole situation. She was holding money over Beck's head, and Beck felt like, in my opinion, probably, if I don't do this, then where will my next meal come from? If I don't do this, will I be out in the street? The bottom line is, when someone controls you financially, when someone gives you power, you give them control. Remember that, okay? If you don't believe anything that I say in this video, believe this: when someone gives you money, you hand them over your control, which is why it's incredibly important, if you can, to be independent. And what you did to Beck, everybody will always remember and talk about. Amber, she says that she did things for Beck as well, and couples always do massages, and she did massages to Beck hand, and nobody cares about a massage that probably wasn't even asked for. Okay, Pookie. And then she says something that it really bothered me. I'm sure it would bother you, most of you, if you would watch it. She's like, she mimics Beck. Okay, she mimics Beck, and she's like, puts her hands on her face and's like, oh no, that's mistreatment. She says the other word that begins with the letter A and makes sport of it, makes a joke out of the whole thing, and says, yes, I was trolling and whatever, but you know what? I was not doing these things. Oh no, I mistreated Beck. That's so she basically makes a joke out of it. I found that to be in the poorest of taste. You forced your partner to play weird games and they couldn't even get out of it and their arms hurt. And then you say you gave them a massage in return. Nobody needed your massage. People needed you to be a decent human being. And I think that's where I want to stop with this, because basically her then saying, oh, you know, people that don't like me gaslight me, when she literally, as Amber would say, Hans Christian Amberlynn, everybody, when she literally said to other people, so what if I gaslight my audience? Like, honestly, this is gaslighting 101. It's the mistreater, the person that did the mistreatment, pretty much devaluing, debasing, degrading the victim and saying, oh, you thought that was, no, it's literally what she said. This is, for me, the lowest part of the live stream and the worst and the real her. For you to be, and this is the part that bothers me, for her to be extensively told, and it was explained to her that Beck felt tormented and did not want to play these weird games where they couldn't just walk away, where you were putting timers, where their arms were hurting. You were told that they were tormented and you're still, you know, making a joke out of it. That says that she's not sorry for her behavior and she's learned nothing. That's why, and I want to tie it all together and tell you, that's why when Amber Reid says that she takes accountability for her behavior towards Beck, she does not. If you took any real accountability, you would have really understood that your actions affected a person negatively. You are making a joke out of choosy, and that is who you are. Okay, I want to move on to her situation with her being ill. So I just wanted to say, before we go any further, For me personally, the only reason that I believed Amber that she was ill is because Beck has always confirmed that she was. So sometimes people would come here. This is way before Beck spoke out on Amber's illness, and people would say, Karina, do you believe Amber? And I would always say, yes, I believe Amber because Beck has confirmed it before that Amber really genuinely was ill. It's sad, but Amber, you are such a deceiver that without Beck's letting us know years ago that you were really ill, I probably wouldn't have believed you. And that's the truth, okay? I'll just be 100 with you. She is a deceiver. She deceives everyone. Again, I'm going to say this again. I only believed you had cancer because Beck confirmed it, and I believe that Beck would not lie about something like that, okay? Now, recently, in a recent video before Beck took a break, they basically said that they didn't remember if Amber, had cells or was full blown ill, but that she definitely had it. Fine. Amber really didn't like that, and she continues to go on and on and on about this, saying that Beck's apology video was just a bunch of excuses after excuses, and that Beck did not take any accountability. We just all saw how Amberlynn doesn't take actual any accountability herself. So this is just projection. Beck did take accountability for the negative things that they had done in the past. She says that even though Beck apologized and said, I should have been more clear, Amber 100% was ill with cancer, all that stuff. Amber again brings it back to her narcissist table for who and says, well, I've used the wrong word before and I've said the wrong things. Yeah, I bet you have used the wrong word, only in a really bad situation that you invented. And basically, she's like, well, why is it okay that people accept that Beck used the wrong word or didn't phrase things properly, but they didn't accept it from me? Because you made up a whole story where you ruined your other ex's whole life, Casey's life. And this is not the same thing. Beck has always, for years back, even before I was making these type of videos, has always said that Amber was ill. And that's, like I said, that's why I believed her. That's why I believed Amber that she was ill. Amber, Beck never said you weren't ill. Get over it. The fact that Beck's mom passed on like very soon right after your surgery made it difficult for Beck to concentrate. Let's not forget, Beck spent all of the time that her mom was passing away with Amber, taking care of Amber. Like, do you understand what that does to a person? A lot. Amber, honestly, this is just shameless behavior in your live stream. Then there was another moment where Amber discussed how Beck discussed taking accountability for actually posting something online about their ex, okay? Not Amber. And Amber's like, well, that situation where you posted a garment of your ex's on Facebook, that was the same thing that you did to me, so you actually did not change, Beck. Okay, so why don't you take some accountability? Amber, you tormented and bothered Beck for years after the breakup. I feel like a broken record. I think most people here collectively understand that the reason that Beck said what they said was because Amber pushed them for 4 years and threatened legal action if they spoke out. If you don't know, Amber Reid threatened legal action against Beck to make sure that Beck doesn't talk, but continued herself, as you saw in the beginning, saying horrible, terrible things about Beck, saying that Beck doesn't travel anywhere except for their sister's backyard, saying that they're a liar, saying that they were the worst first date. By the way, I'd like to say something here. So Amber says that when Beck revealed certain, lavatory habits of Ambi, can I call you Pookie? That was the same thing as Beck going ahead and posting that, that inappropriate Facebook post that Beck apologized for and took accountability, responsibility for, right? Okay. You, Amber, showed Beck in various forms of distress on your channel when they were in renal failure, driving erratically because you forced them to. Then you told us a very inappropriate story where it was obviously a very private story about the way they proposed to you in order to humiliate them. How are you any different? Like, look, everybody has made mistakes in this situation. I'm the first person to say that. Yeah, everybody's not perfect here. Obviously, it's so sad that I would have to say that. But Amber, you know exactly why Beck exposed you and what you did to them, because their story was important to tell about narcissistic relationships where one person torments the other. You tormented Beck. You did. Okay? So when you say Beck exposing their ex is the same as them exposing you. It's not, because you pushed them for 4+ years. They did not speak at all about you for 4+ years, and they begged you to stop talking about them. Honestly, I'm done with this. It's always the same story. So then we move on to Alexis. Honestly, I'm just going to tell you, this is such a waste of a live stream, what she says about Alexis. So basically, if you don't know, Alexis has recently left YouTube. Congratulations. And Amber says, oh, well, since Alexis has said mean things about me, I'm going to just be talking about her. Oh, and just remember, I'm just like explaining what happened. And Alexis, started the whole situation between me and her, and having the conversations, the certain phone conversation that she had with Alexis, whatever, that Alexis started it. And Alexis supposedly, Amber claims, was sending her unsolicited photos of a certain item. Okay. And then she says that Alexis is lying and mad that Amber chose Tommy instead of Alexis.
Just didn't shower.
I just want to stop here and say, I'm just telling you this so you understand what happened in the live stream. I have no opinion on this. I don't care. I want the Alexis saga between Amber and Alexis to stop, because it's obvious that they're both like really into talking about one another. But the main thing I'll say here is this. The person that has a long-standing history of lying, Amber, always calls Alexis a liar, Beck a liar, Destiny a liar, Valentine a liar. What about you? You have the documented history on YouTube of fabricating things, starting from who bought your engagement rings with Beck, ending to you. And I kid you not, Amber said that she choreographed multiple dance numbers that always won first place, which is ridiculous. It's not mathematically possible to every single time win first place. Never mind, she's not a choreographer. I digress to this. Amber keeps talking about how Alexis started their like romantic affiliations and the phone call that they had. But I have this to ask you, Amby. I bet you don't remember this. There is quite a bit of footage on Amber's channel. By all means, go ahead and find it if you'd like. I'm going to try to remember to, in the future, show you the video that I'm talking about, where Amber continues to lie for over a year that she was friends with Alexis and says there's nothing romantic between us. And now you admit that there were romantic things between you two. My point is, Amber, everything is shrouded in doubt, controversy, and your own lies. You're telling us that Alexis started the whole situation between you with that special phone call? Okay. Why did you lie to your audience for over a year saying there was nothing going on between you two? Pookie. Keep lying. She then decides to tell us that she was really, really supportive of Alexis's music, even though it sounded like AI to her. Amber, honestly, nobody cares about you and Alexis. I am here to tell you that I think that at least the majority of my audience, yeah, they'll listen to what I have to say, but nobody cares about your ridiculous relationship with Alexis. Move on. She then starts talking about her own AI drama. If you don't know, we've been talking about this for a while. Amber does these voice notes on her channel that she asks her audience to send her, and it's obvious that some of these people, in my opinion, are definitely using AI. She actually goes and tells us, this is so wild, that she messaged one of the guys that people kept saying was an AI voice, and she messaged the guy and she shows his message, which I'm not going to show here. And the guy was like, well, who cares what they think, pretty much, and it doesn't matter what they think. And then Amber says exactly what I told you that she would say about this whole AI situation in my last video. If you didn't watch my last video, what I said was, Amber did admit that maybe people are using different fake voices to send her voice notes because they don't want anyone to know their real voice. And what I said in my last video is what's going on here is that people, in my opinion, are embarrassed to be associated with her channel. But I know that Amby, can I call you Pookie, will definitely say, oh, well, no one wants to be associated with my audience. And of course they want to use a fake AI, fake voice to be associated with my audience, and my audience's fault. That's exactly what she actually ends up saying in this live stream. Amber, why don't you take some responsibility for you yourself having the type of channel where people don't want to be associated? It's not your audience, it's you. You are it. When are you going to take any accountability and responsibility for creating the community that you have with your actions and perpetuating it? I've said this many times before. I feel like I can definitely speak about this because I've been through so many situations like this. When you genuinely change, you don't need to announce it. People will see the way that you have changed, and maybe they will come around and change their opinions of you. Do you understand what I mean? Genuine change is something that others have to see in you. You don't need to announce it, okay? And it's a genuine, true change as a human being. What Amber is doing here is, again, blaming people using AI voices potentially. She even says that, well, if somebody wants to use an AI voice, of course, they don't want to be associated with my audience and they don't want my audience to hear their real voice. So you trying to message this guy is, again, not taking any accountability. And honestly, I'm going to be real. I don't care what anybody has to say about this topic that is using an AI voice. Amber, you know the content that you're putting out, and you know that you've been putting out fake messages onto your platform. That is my personal opinion, okay? Let's discuss Zachary, Michael, and Amber. So Amber spends a large amount of her time in this members-only live stream, or shall I say live stream, reacting to Zach's new video. Zach left YouTube for like a month and had a break, and now Zach is back. So Zach posted a new video, and Amber immediately needed to react to it live on, for her members only. If you think that other people are that bothered about your obsession with Zachary Michael, they're not. Now, I want to say two disclaimers before we go forward. Amber said a lot of negative things about Zach, but she also said a lot of positive things about Zach. I want to make that very clear because I know the type of person that she is. She's going to say, oh my God, people are, putting words into my mouth or not explaining clearly. I'm being clear. So the bottom line is that she did say a lot of positive things about Zach and acted, keyword acted, like she relates to Zach, okay? And said a lot of positive things and also said a lot of negative things. If you're looking for my opinion on it, which I'm assuming you are, my opinion is that she absolutely is faking the positivity. She needs to, set herself apart from reaction channels. And she even really implies that every time she's reacting to Zach's video, she says, well, if I reacted to this like a reaction channel as opposed to the way that I would react to it, reaction channels are B words. She actually calls all reaction channels a B. I believe she calls Zachary Michael the same word as well. And it's honestly, it's not true. The content that you're reacting depends on your reaction. Yes, everybody has a different way to react to things and to say different things, and everybody has different opinions. But what the situation is that you are reacting to will ultimately decide what you say. And of course, your opinions and how you present yourself. Amber, it's not that people are being mean to you, it's what you are doing in private and in public is just bad, and people have a reaction to it. You saying, well, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not going to really nitpick Zach, and I'm not going to be a B to Zach because I'm not a reaction channel, is ludicrous. We can all see how much you dislike Zach. So the thing is about her saying positive things is I think it's just an act because she understands that otherwise her big reaction won't be valid. Also, I just wanted to say,
Amberlynn did not shower the whole time we were at my mom.
Amber says throughout this live stream that she is not a reaction channel. What do you call having multiple videos and now a paywalled reaction to Zachary Michael? What do you call that? This is a paywalled reaction to Zachary Michael. You actually have to pay to see it or, whatever. I don't know, see it in another way. But it's not been publicly available on YouTube. And she's done so many publicly available on YouTube reactions to Jordy, to Zach, to lots of different people. Please get it together, Pookie. Can I call you Pookie, Ambi? You are the definition of a reaction channel. And by the way, one last point before we get into it, as far as my thoughts, I think that she so deeply wants to do this. She feels that she's entitled to do a reaction, and my opinion, my inner gut feeling is she's desperate to do reaction videos on reaction channels, and she's only not doing it because she hasn't learned how to yet, which, by the way, I find that amazing because I don't even use like the same technique that most people use. Well, because like I'm behind the camera, like I'm behind like with a microphone, so like I'm not on camera. But she can do the same thing as I am. She knows how to record a video without being on camera. She can do these reactions. I think she knows she's going to get a bad reaction, but she gets a bad reaction to every video she uploads. So, girl, I know you want to be a reaction channel. Go right ahead. The other thing I wanted to say is I think she is totally within her rights to say anything about any reaction channel, because in the United States of America, at least where we live, there's something called freedom of speech. So it's not that I think that she's not able or not allowed to say things about reaction channels or to say things about me or anybody else. It's just that, why don't you be honest while doing so? You clearly have so much animosity towards Zach, and I'll tell you why. You can see this throughout the reaction. I think that she's obsessed with Zach per se, and I think the reason that she has so much animosity about Zach is not because Zach said things about her that she didn't like, which I understand why they would bother her. I think it's because genuinely deep down inside for her, she thinks that Zach has the career that she always wanted to have. A lot of subscribers, making great money, and, being beloved mainly. And so that's what she thinks that she deserves. And in my opinion, she believes, in my opinion, that it's her content that Zach is beloved for. And here's where you're wrong, Pookie. I don't care if Zach, takes every single one of your videos and reacts to it. At the end of the day, it's Zach's personality that Zach is beloved for. And that's something she can't understand. She doesn't get it. Okay. So she has a full meltdown about reaction channels, says how they, say bad things about her, talk about the things that she said about Zachary Michael. Like when the reaction starts, she basically has to put people in timeout because they dare say anything about her reacting to Zachary Michael. She also blocks someone because Amber says that Zach's content is negative. And her whole point is that, like, if she puts Zach in a negative headspace, then why is Zach reacting to her? Why are you coming onto YouTube every single day when we know that it puts you in a negative headspace all the time? Because you want money. Like, people make money and people need to make money. Also, I disagree that Zach's content is negative. I think it's honest. And I think that people have a right to give your audience a voice, because you often take away your audience's voice. And Zach is just reacting. Also, your content is dramatic and negative all the time. Another point, I don't see how, like, Zach reacting to you always puts Zach into a bad headspace. Come on now, that's ridiculous, okay? So she blocks somebody for saying that her content is negative. That seems good and positive. Why are people paying $10 a month to see someone's ceiling and be blocked? She basically starts the reaction, and she says that she does appreciate that Zach, oh, look, there's the nice ceiling. Ceiling is the side character. Okay, so she says she definitely appreciates Zach taking her side with, the cake gate, when she wished her supporters, and whoever sent her the cake to have a bad time in a hot place with the president, and she wished ill will onto her supporters. So she says that she really appreciates Zach taking her side there and seeing things her way and being understanding, because somebody says to her, Zach has been so nice to you. So she answers it with this. This is one of these moments where I don't feel it's genuine. And she then says, but Zach says so many negative things about me. So then when she is reacting, she claims that Zach talks about the way that her shirt looks or her hair looks. And that's not true. Zach usually never comments on your appearance. That isn't true. And she also is upset that Zach would ordinarily say something like, why are you still talking about this? Why don't you go and get therapy? And she's like, why does Zach tell me to go and get therapy instead of talking about it on YouTube? When I talk about things on YouTube, it really helps me, right? And, why am I talking about a breakup that happened 3 weeks ago? Why do I keep talking about this? She says that this is the criticism that Zach has for her. She also says, when Zach tells me that I need to go and get therapy, but at the same time, Zach is sitting here and talking about his personal life or whatever Zach wants to say, why don't you go get therapy? Amber, I could see how much you dislike Zach and how much disdain you have for Zach. Therefore, I think it's such a waste of time, as I originally said, for you to pretend to say nice things. She's just saying nice things. She even says it. Oh, so, she can have like a balanced reaction. Amber, be yourself. We know how much, like, she's seething. Like, she stays calm throughout this mainly, but she's seething. For example, somebody says, Zach doesn't talk about you on Twitch. She immediately snaps back and says, oh, well, yes, Zach does. How do you know that? Obsessed one. How do you know that? Like, it's as if like she's ready to go. Like, that's someone who is low key obsessed with Zach. Just because people talk about you doesn't even mean you have to know their name. You know everybody's name. You know everybody's everything. As far as the whole therapy statement that she made, the reason that Zach can say to you, hey, you should go to therapy instead of trying to use YouTube as your therapist, and at the same time say certain personal things to their audience, is because Zach has been going to therapy. How dare you leave that out? This is why your reaction is a lie, okay? And this is why, girl, you a lie. And you always leave things out that are very important to the audience. Maybe you don't know this, but Zach has been in therapy for a long time. So from a therapy background, a person that has been getting help for a while, they are saying to Amber, hey, you should go and get therapy, right? Instead of venting about this online. Amber would vent about nonsense online and all this controversial stuff online while not getting therapy. She may be in therapy now, but she wasn't this whole time. So that's the difference. That's the distinction, Amber. Okay, see how she purposely left that out, that the entire time she wasn't in therapy, Zach was, and that's why they were giving that advice to Amber. She left that out to her audience because just in case you don't know that Zach has been in therapy, you would never understand why Zach is saying that, okay? And Amber sitting there and saying, well, me talking about my feelings and all this other stuff makes me feel better on the internet is a blatant lie. You do it for money, just admit it. The more controversial, the more negative videos that you are posting, the more money you're making. Please stop, Ambi. Can I call you Pookie? Okay, please stop. That's why you're doing it. You have explained to us how most people don't take your side. You constantly say, oh, this will fall on ears that are not gonna like want to listen to me, that are gonna not take my side. Most people don't like me. That's what you have said. So this is the environment that you feel safe in to vent, and it's making you feel better, which is what she said in the live stream, that's why she vents online. No, you vent online for only one reason. First of all, you don't have a lot of people over there to even say anything. Also, you know what? Maybe it is good that she vents online because she has like an echo chamber of yes man in her life. People on the internet are going to tell you how it is, but you know what? You're doing it for the money. No, you are so obsessed with Zach. Like, I want to be very clear. She has every right to talk about somebody that talks about her, but it's obvious that she has a some very serious disdain for Zach, and she is jealous of Zach and obsessed that she believes, as I said, Zach has the career that she's always wanted to have. Then says that reaction channels are harmful and have messed drastically with her life, but Zach is the least harmful. Okay, if Zach is the least harmful, why are you so obsessed with Zach? Reaction channels have done nothing to your life. You did all of this yourself. She says that reaction channels ruined her relationships in her life, ruined parts of her life. Honey, why don't you take some responsibility for your life? I can honestly say, usually I'm in a situation where I can say, well, I can only speak for myself or something like this. At this point, I can speak for everybody when I say that not a single reaction channel, no matter how controversial or whatever they said about you, has ever been able to ruin parts of your life and relationships. It's very clear to me from the things that your ex Tommy has said about you that reaction channels had nothing to do with your breakup. It's very obvious to me that you refuse to take responsibility. Remember, Amber said that Tommy broke up with her supposedly because of the negative comments that Tommy was getting and all this negative attention that Tommy was getting. Yeah, the truth is, Tommy went on the internet and said that she was grieving and Amber was jealous. So the bottom line is, I don't believe anything that Amber says. That's the bottom line. That's the baseline for any of my reactions because she's such a well-documented deceiver and she has extensively admitted to deceiving people. My point here is, So Amber says that reaction channels ruined her relationship, presumably Tommy's. No, you ruined your relationship with Tommy. You lied for Tommy to your audience and it didn't even matter. You lied about your breakup. You lied about everything. The bottom line here is whenever she says this, it's so scary to me. Lady, why don't you take responsibility for your own actions? I'm going to tell you something. The internet cannot ruin your life if what they're saying isn't true. I'm going to repeat that. The internet cannot ruin your life when what they're saying isn't true. And the bottom line is, no one really went real life with her. And she's talking about reaction channels, right? Not just her audience. So for her to say that reaction channels ruined her life, no, nobody ruined your life except you. Why don't you take some responsibility as a full grown adult for your own choices? You're right. All of us were in your relationship with Tommy. All of us were jealous. Okay. So she then goes on to say that, like, her big thing here about Zach, her big point is how could Zach quit the job that Zach had for me? Zach went to college and had like a job, but quit to do reaction videos on me. So what? There could be many reasons. I personally don't care that Zach did this, and I can't imagine anybody would. But the thing is, while most of us do have other jobs, like Zach did, honestly, our job status or whether or not we went to college or whatever is none of your business. You know why? You dropped out of college, and right now, currently, while you could maybe be hired for another job, the thing is that you wouldn't be able to sustain another job. Zach would. Zach recently, I believe, talked about, going on an interview for a job. The idea here is that it doesn't matter that Zach quit their job to do reactions. Maybe they found it more profitable. Maybe their life became easier in certain ways. Like I remember hearing Zach discuss how they had to, get up in the morning, go to work, do everything that's associated with being an adult, like grocery shop and, clean the house or whatnot, things that you're really having mommy do for you and take you to do, right? And then also record reactions. Like, of course, that's hard. What you're saying about reaction channels and Zach is ridiculous. There could be many different reasons why. I'm going to ask Amber this. Amber, why did you quit college? You were going to college for justice. Yeah, okay. So you were going to college. Why'd you quit? Amber, why did you quit every single job you had for YouTube? I have a serious question. And this is the best part of her because she spends, listen to me. She spends a very long time in her live stream asking why Zach quit their job for Amberlynn Reid reactions, right? Well, Amber quit her job while she was living with Destiny for, YouTube. Or even if she was fired or whatever, she talked about on her channel how much she wanted to leave her job to do YouTube. So you did the same exact thing. So Zach went to college, you dropped out. And by the way, this is no judgment towards people that dropped out. I always say that there's like college isn't everything. I've said that before. You don't need a college degree a lot of the times to be your best self or successful. But I'm just saying, I'm going right along the lines of what she is saying. She's criticizing Zach for how dare Zach go ahead and, go to college, get a job, and then quit to do Amberlynn Reid reactions. You went to college, dropped out, you had a job, you quit to do reactions of your own life. So what is the difference, really? You are judging Zach for making the best decision for Zach at the time. Maybe you would say that that was the best decision at that time for you, huh, Pookie? She says a blatant lie. Most entertaining, riveting YouTuber. Amberlynn Reid is the most popular girl in school. What I find the most interesting is that her lies are easily check proof. Like, you can easily go and check that she's blatantly lying. She has enough audacity to lie about Zach and say that pretty much Zach mainly talks about her. She says, quote, Zach very rarely covers other people. You can easily go into Zach's channel. There's an actual playlist with 11 videos on foodie beauty that I saw. I started counting all the videos that Zach has, okay, on foodie beauty, and I decided to stop counting at 50. More than likely, there are hundreds of videos about foodie beauty. Amber, how dare you? Truly, how dare you lie about something that is so easily checked? I want to make this clear. Yes, a lot of Zach's content is about Amber, for sure. But quite a bit of it is about other YouTubers and foodie beauty. Also, Zach has a whole other channel on which they cover other topics. Amber, why would you lie so blatantly? And I know it's not a surprise to most people that have watched Amber for a long time, but this is why. This is one of the best reasons why you have a negative relationship with your audience. Amber, there's no need to lie. Zach does cover you, but does not rarely cover other people. Why are you lying? There's hundreds of videos on Foodie Beauty and other YouTubers as well, okay? We'll get back to Zach in a minute. I'm just going in linear order. This is a math channel. So then she talks about how Chantal, Foodie Beauty, we just talked about her, doesn't get a lot of likes on her live streams. So Amber, make sure to like it up. Yeah, Chantal really doesn't like you. These two had a huge falling out where Chantal told us how much she disliked you. Amber, continue to like up her streams. And if you don't know why, because Amberlynn went at 4 a.m., blamed it at her therapist, and went and said that somebody that heard Foodie Beauty was very entertaining and supported him. So that's the kind of friend Amby Pookie is, right? Okay, and Foodie Beauty spent months saying how she's always disliked Amber. It's a wonderful time to be alive. Go like up her stream some more. The reason that you and Chantal do not get a lot of likes is because not a lot of people like your content. It's really that simple. She then she then goes on to say that she wishes YouTube was like TikTok, because I have never heard of this. She claims that like on TikTok you could like somebody's video more than once. I've never seen this. Yes. Yes, of course. Against TOS Lynn over here. Of course, Amber, it is so obvious that you want to be liked for content that you know is inappropriate against TOS. And the way, I'm just going to keep saying this, the way that she treats people privately and publicly is why you don't get a lot of likes, okay? She also says that she's Zach's moneymaker, and like she's like, oh, I'm like pretty much always like the reason, I'm paraphrasing, that people are making a lot of money. Like what I feel, okay, my opinion. As soon as you become irrelevant to my audience, I will stop talking about you. Just like as soon as anybody else became irrelevant to my audience, I stopped talking about them. Like, this is a temporary thing that you have, and instead of being grateful that you're being talked about, therefore being able to pay your bills, being able to sit at home all day and do nothing, instead of understanding that there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? You can feed your dog, you can feed your cat, except for that other cat that you let run away, right? Like, you can do all the things. You can buy pointless junk hauls because people watch your videos and talk about you. Without us talking about you, you would be nowhere. The way that Amberlynn started making money is because people started talking about her. There's no such thing as bad publicity. You are ungrateful, and when this will be taken away from you, and I promise you it will, then we'll check back. What I mean by this will be taken away from her is when people stop watching her videos and she gets no views, she will be regretful of trashing reaction channels. She then says that when her mental health is not good, she stops doing cameos, and says a very curious statement. And this is very important. I know most people will look past this. To me, this was very important. She says that in a cameo, you have to have positive energy. And it takes way more energy, and it is way harder for her to do a 3-minute cameo than to sit here on a 2-hour live stream. If that doesn't prove to you that she comes into her live streams being negative, she's in a negative headspace and puts out negative live streams and content, but then goes ahead and trashes Zach for having negative content, I don't know what will. Can you imagine saying that it is harder for you in these cameos? She rolls out of bed, she doesn't take the time to know how to pronounce the person's name, and she's unprofessional. And so I find it very odd. Like, that's the cameos. I've seen a bunch of her cameos. You know what? If you open up this description box, I'm going to link the cameos that she has done. Go ahead and watch it for yourself. You don't need to take my word for it, okay? So she basically says this has to be what it means. You don't have to be positive and exude positivity in a live stream for 2 hours, but you do have to exude positivity in a cameo for 3 minutes. Honestly, Amber, thank you for telling us that you come here and to your YouTube channel negative. And if you watch the videos that she has been recently making, they are all negative. They're all drama videos that are negative, and she's incredibly smug and mean-spirited throughout them. So I'm not surprised. Okay. She says she does understand why Zach just opened up, their cameos again, and that's good, that their mental health is good. And she, I know what she's doing. She says lots of positive things about Zachary Michael's mental health because she was caught out there fully on her channel, being incredibly insensitive. What she actually said before is, oh, whenever I take a break, Zach pretends that their mental health is not well and they take a break. That's very disingenuous and not even true, okay? They've been dealing with lots of different things that they've talked about with their audience. So I feel that this is just my opinion and my reaction. Every single time she says positive things about Zachary Michael's mental health, you know that she's just pretending because she got into a very bad scandal. What you said about Zach is not okay, and anything at this point that you do to rectify it will never be enough, because I know it's not how you genuinely feel. You told us how you feel. Oh, when Zach takes a break, only when I take a break, they are faking any issues they have, okay? She then lets us know that whenever she doesn't, post on YouTube, her mental health is not it. You have taken months off to go to Target. Please stop. She then says when some videos are not working on YouTube, she switches it up. You mean your videos get taken down for TOS violations? This has happened numerous times with her chicken video. The majority of your content is currently against TOS, including all of your eating videos, Amberlynn. I would stop it, okay? She then lets us know, and this is really important, goals, that she is, quote, capable of critical thinking and does have some smart opinions.
Just don't go there.
She said that about herself. She says, I have, I'm capable of critical thinking and have smart opinions. Amber, usually, like, when people like actually have that, they don't need to tell other people that. That's just easily discerned from their actions and their words, just like you don't need to tell a person that you're a good person. It'll be obvious. She then says, this is the advice that she's giving everybody, because she says that people, treat her bad and don't take her advice to heart. So listen to this advice. Here's why people don't take your advice to heart. I'm going to tell you her advice and then we'll talk about it. All right. Her advice is, if something, like when you're without something and it makes you peaceful when you've had like a break from it and you were not peaceful when you were engaging with it, please leave it behind. You mean like Tommy and YouTube? There's no way you were peaceful in your relationship with Tommy. We could see that you were crying and miserable all the time while living in Wisconsin. That's number one, in my opinion. Number two, you clearly explained to us how much you dislike YouTube and that YouTube is like something that you would like to leave at a certain point. She has said this before, and it's obvious that she dislikes YouTube. She won't admit that she dislikes it, but it doesn't bring her peace. I mean, clearly not. She's miserable here. She's smug. She's very mean-spirited towards others. My point is, you just gave us advice that if something doesn't bring us peace, we should leave. Why didn't you leave Tommy, and why don't you leave YouTube? Right. Advice for thee, but not for you. Look, Amber, can I call you Pookie? Sweetheart, the reason that people don't take your advice is because we know you wouldn't follow it yourself and you're just saying, the cool buzzwords. So she finishes off the live stream strong by saying that she doesn't pre-record videos except for her weekly vlog. Honestly, the things that she says in this live stream are just preposterous. Amber, all of your videos are pre-recorded, and I'm going to do you one better. I'm not even going to really discuss the videos that you would film months and months in advance and then post. Your ex Beck has exposed you for filming 3 to 5 videos in one day and changing your outfit. Here's my personal opinion. I believe that a lot of the videos that you see on her channel throughout the week are filmed within 2 days or 1 day. I think she just changes her shirt. Amber, we can tell that it's the same day. You can't hide it, okay? She then talks about how her and her friend from bingo have graduated to actually being real friends. Oh my God, girls. So exciting. And that other than just meeting her friend at bingo, she's actually going to go to bingo with her friend. Congratulations. You're going to mess up this relationship just like you have every single one. Your friend, in my opinion, not a fact, probably doesn't know exactly who you are, but don't worry. You'll show your friend who you are eventually. She then talks about seafood boil and how expensive it is, and then lets us know that she takes off certain articles of clothing when eating it and puts like a paper towel, like a bib. Thank you, Ambi. Can I call you Pookie? She says that her potato story with Feline was true. Feline saved her life. And then she continues to say inappropriate things like, oh, there's only 4 minutes left to my live stream. There's only 2 minutes left to my live stream. I've said it before and it bears repeating. I think it's highly inappropriate to say this. I have watched many different live streams from Girl World and from different people before Girl World. No one does that. First of all, she sets a time that it's a 2-hour live stream, which I mean, I guess I could understand that, to be fair, so people know what they're getting. But then she shows you how eagerly she is awaiting to get off line. You understand what I'm saying? Saying, okay, I have 2 minutes left, I have 4 minutes left is inappropriate, rude to your audience. You've already been disrespectful, as Amber would say, disrespectful to your audience by continuously taking breaks where you mute the stream. By the way, there's a moment where people say to her, why do you keep muting your stream when you leave to take a break? I find that to be suspicious. I don't know why she's muting it. She's in the category of, you know, foodie beauty. Maybe she doesn't want anybody to hear anything when she goes to the bathroom, but she doesn't always go to the bathroom when she takes a break. So she's clearly hiding things, just like foodie beauty is hiding things. Like, these things make you appear not genuine to your audience, and you need to stop. People even call her out on it. Why do you need to mute it? And she goes, why wouldn't I mute it? I don't know. If you're muting it, you're hiding something, Amber. The bottom line in the situation is her being disrespectful to her audience as she types away and sends text messages on her phone throughout this entire live stream, her being disrespectful, as she would say, to her audience by showing the ceiling and even saying, well, I have 2 more minutes left. Oh, and she also threw in a tarot reading there for everybody. That was exciting. Not. You know, she doesn't know what she's even doing with tarot. The bottom line in the situation is, you can do whatever kind of live streams you want, Amber, but I personally do not feel that the people that are paying $10 a month are getting their money's worth. I think, in my opinion, that you are mistreating your audience and disrespecting them. We see how badly you need to get off of this live stream and leave being live. Oh, I have 2 minutes left. Anyways, that's about it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this recap. Let me know what you think about the video in the comments below. I'm going to link right up here another video on a similar topic. Go check this out. Thank you so very much for spending some of your time with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.